Hey, what's going on folks, my name's Gray, and today on Consoletronics I count down the top 10 games that debuted on the Commodore Amiga but found greater exposure and a wider audience when ported to consoles. Let's get started. When I first decided to do this list, I fully expected to place this Bitmap Brothers mythological platform puzzler much higher. Gods is a hugely enjoyable game, everything from the superb Simon Bisley cover art, which wasn't present in the US release, to music, level design. It's hard, don't get me wrong, it will make you tear your hair out at times, but challenges have to be risen to, so what's it gonna be? Regarded by many as just another cash-in, jump-on-the-bandwagon mascot platformer upon its console release, Zool was in fact the Sonic the Hedgehog of the Amiga, a Commodore mascot for the millions of kids who owned Amiga computers and whose parents wouldn't buy them consoles. Probably best remembered now for its in-game advertisements for Chupa Chups. What's been forgotten sadly is the fact that Zool is a great game, with fast fluid gameplay and enough charm and character to stand out from the glut of wannabes. It had the sequel treatment, but the first game is one people talk about. So if you have yet to experience the adventures of the ninja from the nth dimension, maybe it's time you put that right. Yeah, remember this one? Chuck Rock from Core Design, the same people who brought us Tomb Raider. Chuck Rock was released at a time in video game history when the platformer was king, yet the game's design, humour and likeable character were both fresh and innovative. I mean, besides the Flintstones and Joe and Mac, what other game has you controlling a Stone Age hero? A popular game when released meant it was guaranteed a sequel, and we were blessed with a pixelated bundle of joy in Chuck Rock 2 Son of Chuck, which as the title suggests has you controlling Chuck Jr. But also worth noting is the Mario Kart-esque BC Races, which was on the Mega CD and is one of the few must-own titles. Instead I stumbled home. For years, many games claimed to be cinematic, but it wasn't until Eric Shahi's epic and notoriously difficult masterpiece of a game came along did gamers really sit up and take notice. It wasn't just the visuals, which still hold up today, that people took to. It was the atmosphere, created by attention to detail and Gallic flair. Ported to every 16-bit machine you can name, this is the superb Mega Drive port you see here. For me, the Amiga original still stands as the definitive version. Future sports games were for a time a genre of their own. But Speedball and its sequel Speedball 2 Brutal Deluxe have always towered over their rivals. Developers the Bitmap Brothers created magic with their rollerball inspired rough and tumble fusion of football and extreme violence. Of all the games on this list, this one has had the most attempts at a remake, with a ropey PlayStation 1 title and a HD remake on Steam. Few gamers will forget the impact this game had when first released, and whatever form the franchise takes in the future, it all started here, on the Amiga. First up we have First Samurai, which was unlucky not to make the top 10, despite being almost completely forgotten by retro enthusiasts. A tricky but enjoyable platform actioner that has you controlling a topless time-travelling samurai with revenge on his mind. A classic. Sometimes wrongly credited as Another World 2, Flashback, despite sharing many similarities with Another World, is very much its own game. One of the biggest selling French video games of all time in its day, has everything you could want in a cinematic platformer. The seminal action strategy game from the team behind Sensible Soccer, Cannon Fodder, was regarded rightly as a must-own title at the time of release and created a generation of Amiga-owning armchair generals. It didn't have the same impact on spoilt-for-choice short attention span console owners, but if you get a chance to try it, do. It's brilliant. Perhaps the least well-known title on this list. Think of it as a set-in modern-day altered beast. You guide the hybrid hero through numerous action movie themed levels, such as jungles and industrial complexes. Praised for its graphics and fluid gameplay in its day and ported to a number of 8 and 16-bit machines, but many would argue it lost something in translation to console. Try before you buy.
Instead I stumbled and I took
The name's Pond. James Pond. The underwater private dick with a license to spill probably has many of you scratching your heads thinking, I don't remember this one. Well, if I tell you that James Pond 2 is better known as Robocod. That's right, even if you never played it, you heard of it. Ported to just about every existing machine of the day, even the PlayStation 1 had a port. And I'm pleased to say the game has aged very well. Still fun, still colourful and cutesy. A third game in the series, James Pond 3, Fish Gordon, was released only in Europe, I think, but the impact of this Amiga original was felt worldwide. A true classic in every sense of the word. Now, I have to hold my hands up and admit, I never played this one. But in terms of legacy, Syndicate is up there with the best of them, having recently been transformed into a first-person shooter for the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3. But the Peter Molyneux produced original still stands as the benchmark. Although ported to Mega Drive and SNES, the console versions were severely toned down and aren't on par with the critically acclaimed Amiga original.
I should have quit while I was still.
In 1989, Shadow of the Beast made its Amiga debut, and Commodore fans rejoiced. Finally they had a game that they could call their own, an impressive for its time side-scroller that made full use of the Amiga's graphics and sound capabilities. Console ports soon followed, including versions for more obscure systems like the only released in Japan FM Towns computer. The impact this game made on computer gaming in the late 80s, early 90s can't be overlooked. It raised the bar for art design and music in video games, and if the rumours are true, maybe history will repeat with a possible remake on the PlayStation 4. The original party game. Worms came into its own on 32-bit systems, helping to pave the way for a new movement in video gaming with the rise of the casual gamer. The Amiga original from Team 17, a well-known Amiga developer from the UK, still waiting on that body blows port, lads, is just as playable and instantly recognisable as you'd expect. Truly a case if any more proof was needed that graphics do not make the game.
Morning lying in bed.
It's hard to imagine a world where this simplistic but heroin-like addictive game didn't exist. Like most games on the list, it was published on too many systems to count. Created by DMA Design, the Scottish developer whose other credits include the first 2 Grand Theft Auto games, Lemmings is one of the greatest games ever made. Let me repeat that so there's no misunderstanding. Lemmings is one of the greatest video games ever made. Had there been no Amiga, just how different would the gaming world be today? Well, it's been fun doing this top 10 of Commodore Amiga games that found greater success on console. Did you agree with my list or do you have other candidates? Leave a comment and let me know. And if you haven't done so already, why not subscribe? So anyway, my name's Gray, this has been Consoletronics. and I'm out of here.